On today's show, Qantas Link strike news. SAA is looking for staff abroad. Spirit Airlines pilots are concerned about the company's future. Business jet crashes, OEM news, Joby air taxis in Dubai, and some dodgy no smoking signs. Hi, pal.
Hey guys.
So we made a promise to each other. We'll never start a show saying, "How's your week?" It's been busy.
Oh, it's been so busy.
But it
Yeah.
flipping has been, and it's been shitty because we try and made a commitment to do 2 shows a week. And I suppose what's cool with that is when you make a commitment to do 2 shows a week, when you do one, it's almost like it's like a failure, but it's still better than doing none. I suppose if you
Yeah.
commit to one, then you give yourself leeway to have a week off, which at least we're not doing, but still.
Yeah. At least you're halfway there.
Yeah. Should we jump into it?
Yeah. So showing up for work today. Unlike the pilots in Oz,
Yeah, what's
or
going
the
on there?
Aussie pilots in Oz, should I say?
Yeah, the Saffers are flying pretty hard.
Yeah.
Some
Got a picture from our good mates Aussie Mike and Dill.
yeah, here they are,
Yeah. That picture was from this morning, in fact.
living the dream there in Oz.
Yeah, giving us a thumbs up. Apparently, Dill tells me that they managed to catch up quite a bit on the apron there, in between Darwin and Broome, and
Yeah,
and it's quite like it's such a small world. They never met each other ever in South Africa,
yeah,
but because they're mates of ours through the podcasts, bump into each other just about every day in
yeah.
Oz.
They didn't know each other in South Africa. One flew for Sax, one flew for Salenta,
Yeah,
and never crossed paths. But yeah, kind of cool. I like that.
yeah. So lucky to see the guys doing well there, and at least they're not complaining about not being paid.
No, so what's it all about? So Qantas Link pilots in Western Australia have extended their strike to 6 days. So I think that should be nearing its end about now. That was double the expected duration after giving notice of the additional 3 days. The strike will affect Qantas Western Australia subsidiary Network Aviation, which provides passenger routes within Western Australia and charter flights for mainly mine workers. Qantas plans to use 3 Boeing 737s and charter planes from other airlines to accommodate the passengers. The strike is to impact more than 10,000 people, mainly mine workers, and as a result of disputes over pay increases, which is to do with rostering and all sorts of things. And the negotiations between the pilots and Qantas are still ongoing, and the duration is uncertain. So it's all to do with failed negotiations. Never heard that story before. And yeah, so we'll keep an eye on it. It's a bit of a landmark case there. And speaking to one of many Australian correspondents now, yeah, it is quite a big thing, and they're monitoring it. And like you say, Mike and Dylan, they're flying pretty hard because they're making up for some of the routes that the other the Network Aviation guys aren't doing. So yeah, good on them. Closer to home, the next story, your favorite, Spurries, South African Airways is facing challenges in scaling up its operations due to a shortage of staff with specific skills. Any idea what those skills are?
You must be able to fly them plane.
Yeah. Many employees with these skill sets have been enticed to work outside of the country for better wages and permanent electricity. To address this issue, SAA is considering hiring personnel from abroad. The airline is already operating some flights with aircraft leased from Sun Express and plans to double the number of leased aircraft in the next year. No surprise there. I suppose the lease makes sense because they can bring the aircraft in ACMR basis. They've got crew they don't have to worry about, and everyone's happy.
Yeah, I don't know. From what I hear, those leases are actually not the most
favorable to the South African taxpayer.
Yeah, you'd probably have a fucking heart attack if you saw what they were paying because
yeah, but I mean that
par for the course.
That's par for the course. We don't even sort of go into. You mentioned to me the other day, or I think you asked the question: are pilots, so they're shorter pilots. They need pilots. They're obviously asking local pilots to go back.
I believe so. Yeah,
And are local pilots going back?
I've heard that some of the guys have opted to go back. Whether the contract is as lucrative as it was,
No, it won't be.
for
There's
the,
no ways.
but given the way some operators are treating pilots,
It's no surprise. Huh?
then I suppose the guys are finding it. They're looking at it and thinking, well, shit, just go back and do it. Whether it's financially feasible for most guys, I suppose it depends on the individual. But
Look,
I mean, one thing is that they're going back to offering those, attracting the guys with packages like, oh, you'll get rebates. Where can they rebate to? Sao Paulo and Accra.
Yeah. But on the other hand, I don't think we take the stance on criticizing the guys for going back. I mean, if you're sitting there and don't have a job, or your job is so shitty that you
Yeah, of course.
decide to go back, I don't blame. And I think maybe we need to make that point. I don't think we're
not criticizing.
not
the guys going back.
criticizing certainly the crew, particularly the pilots and cabin crew for and a lot of the people that are flying there.
Our stance
Out
is
of a good
just we know the airline.
It's just the
the
running of it. I mean,
Yeah.
the running of we've seen it so much, and I suppose that's where the criticism comes from. But certainly not aimed at the crew.
No.
The crew are just doing what they're paid to do, which is fly the bloody airplane. So yeah, good on them. We'll keep an eye on it, because I do believe it will be a weird thing to have.
To comment on it, I suppose it does make sense that if they are going to need pilots, rather attract the guys from within SA, give them a chance rather than going and hunt
from
for
the outside. No, it seems crazy. But
I wonder how spoiled for choice they're going to be though.
let's watch that closely and see.
Yeah.
Some pilots at Spirit Airlines are concerned about the company's future after a US judge blocked its proposed merger with JetBlue. So that merger fell flat.
Mm-hmm.
So they're busy dusting off the old CVs. Log 10 Pro is working flat out there trying to make resumes and all the rest.
Not just from your having to catch up.
No.
Disregard.
We'll talk about that later. The uncertainties surrounding Spirit's future has created stress and worry amongst the pilots, while the company has dismissed speculation about its future, blah, blah, blah. Right, so this is in the US, obviously. Aren't there plenty of jobs there that they can just walk into somewhere else? You would think, eh?
It sounds like it, eh? I mean, that's been the talk of the town for the last while, is that jobs in the States are,
in demand.
Very in demand, yeah.
That being said, though, anytime your job is at any form of risk, and I think for a pilot, it's even, when you've got these seniority things and all the rest, it's a stressful time. So,
yeah, been there, done that.
Yeah. Some OEM news. This is about that proposal to fit 25-hour cockpit voice recorders to newly manufactured models. So the smaller airframers like Imre and Bombardier ATR, they have expressed concern over this. While the intention to improve the safety investigation is supported, there are concerns about the expansion of the requirement to smaller aircraft, which could result in longer selection and certification processes and create supply chain issues. The supply chain thing, it's pretty wild. Out of interest, I was talking to a mate of mine the other day, busy buying a new car, and it's a manual. I was like, this is like a brand new 2024 car out the box, it's a German car, and he's like, no, you can't get this thing in a DSG or an auto box. I said, no, but that's crazy. He said, no, everywhere else you can, but South Africa's a bit low on the pecking order, and there's not enough chips available in around the world.
Yeah.
So they actually have to, for these fancy auto gearboxes. And that's why it's a manual. So it affects everything. And you talk about these like supply chain issues and all the rest. It's massive. And it I think when we first mentioned it on the show, probably well over a year ago, like a lot of things we mentioned on the show, I didn't understand what it really was. It just sounded cool to mention and talk about it.
Yeah.
But now that it starts popping up and it actually affects you, it's a big thing, and it's not going to stop anytime soon.
Yeah. No, look, we're gonna feel the effects of that for a long time still. I mean, not only just after the effects of the scamdemic, but with all the wars going on, it's a continuous knock-on effect. And back to the voice recorders, 25 hours.
This is quite long. What is it?
It's normally
I forgot.
30 minutes or 2 hours.
Yeah. So this is obviously a digital type of recording.
So I suppose it makes sense because then no flight's going to be longer than 25 hours, but it will record conversations from the flight before, so it could,
true story.
Suppose capture some sort of a, if there's any trends with the aircraft. But yeah, imagine the amount of podcasts you get out of all that recording.
Yeah. But how often have you seen those accidents investigations where it's like, I mean, the cockpit voice recorders are pretty antiquated in their technology. I suppose this is the next push to the next gen. So we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
Remember, I bought some shares the other day
in Joby.
Yeah, so they're cooking, China. US-based aircraft manufacturer Joby Aviation has signed an agreement with the Dubai Roads and Transport Authority to launch air taxi services in Dubai. This is legit, 226. The agreement grants Joby Aviation the exclusive right to operate air taxis in Dubai for a 6-year period. The company aims to begin initial ops as early as 2025 and will expand, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, it's the EVTOL thing, fly up to 150 miles on a single charge, up to 200 miles an hour, with the capacity to carry a single pilot and 4 packs. The RTA has approved support to Joby Aviation, including financial mechanisms to ensure the smooth entry and development of air taxis in Dubai. So my shares
I've got a bit of FOMO now because I should have then actually for once listened to your financial advice and bought some shares in
100%.
Joby.
We would have been loaded until the next story came out, which says Joby Aviation's recent accident involving the destruction of its pre-production prototype has brought attention to the regulator. Divided on electrical, vertical takeoff and landing aircraft certification, the NTSB concluded that the accident was caused by a broken propeller blade, resulting in the separation of multiple propeller stations and the breaking up of the aircraft in flight. So that fucking disaster there. The trend. My portfolio was just geez, yeah.
All right. So for further financial advice on your next choice of purchasing shares, look at SAA.
Yeah. But in fairness to Joby on this one, this was during testing and they were pushing this thing way beyond what limit it was supposed to operate in.
What was that comment we were talking about earlier, that Sean Connery thing? What?
Losers always whine about doing their best. Not going to finish the quote.
Sings it.
Yeah. But look, I find the whole Joby thing quite interesting because it does appear that there's been a lot of talk about these EVTOLs, but now it seems like Joby is every second article is Joby, and it's almost like accepted now, particularly with Dubai jumping on board, that they are going to be the EVTOL people. So are they like the Boeing, of the EVTOL world?
Yeah.
And it does open up a whole segment of aviation that did not exist before.
Yeah,
and it's kind of cool.
It's actually
not a
very
chopper.
Interesting. No, it's a drone.
Well, it's got a pilot.
So it's got a pilot.
It's got
not
a pilot.
Completely autonomous.
No, but it's obviously got a huge amount of autonomy built into it. So what that pilot does and what skill set he has to have and what training and license they have to hold, I don't know. And I suppose this, they've kept quite hush on that. In preparation for today, that's what I was trying to find.
Yeah.
I was trying to find what sort of info we could talk about from a pilot's point of view. Will this be could this be a job for a pilot on the weekend who's got a few days off and has a bit of an Uber type setup where you could, you
Wonder how
know,
it'll work, eh?
yeah. And,
mean,
and what costs are they going to be? You know, they hell of a, you know, they look kind of cool. Let me try to pull up a picture. You can carry on yapping in the meantime.
Well, while you're looking for pictures, it would actually be quite cool to see now that you know that they are going to have a pilot. What does the little cockpit setup look like, and what are going to be the restrictions on how these things fly? Because will they be able to fly when the weather's bad?
Yeah,
you know.
Yes. Oh, there's one there.
It's not the prettiest thing, eh? By any stretch of the imagination, it's
kind of dig
kind of fugly, man.
Yeah,
nah,
it's cool, man. Chicks dig it.
Yeah,
huh?
I don't know.
Not.
Nah.
Not for you.
Not enough classic lines there, man.
Yeah, but we'll keep an eye on it. I quite like the whole trying to stay on top of where it's going. I mean, 225, it's just around the corner. You're going to rock up in Dubai and see these things flying around.
It's going to be like walking straight into a futuristic movie. Eh?
Yeah.
Nice.
Kind of cool. Next story over here. So this one you brought to my attention. I actually, to be honest, when you said this, I thought, haven't they always been doing this? Etihad has announced that pilots have received regulatory approval and completed training to operate the 350 and the 380.
So I think what you were thinking of was they had approval prior to this for the Boeing guys who were flying 777 and 787. There was a couple of shows back long time ago where we had commented on the fact that could you actually fly a 787 and a 777 at,
the same time.
At the same time. Turns out you apparently can. But an A350 and an A380, those are two different animals, man.
Yeah, the 350, if you look at the pictures inside, is a big step up in terms of how modern it looks inside.
Yeah. But in terms of
I'm sure they operate exactly
weight
the same.
and momentum and
no, but it doesn't matter. You just
gooi.
Just clap it.
Yeah, that's what we would do.
Yeah,
but yeah.
But I suppose from a pilot's perspective, if you're a pilot at Etihad on the 350, does it suit you now? Be interested, our mates in that at Cathay and everywhere. If you dual rated like that to operate two aircraft, I don't see that being better for your roster.
Yeah, I know. Roster-wise, it's going to be a cluster. Even if you're not dual-rated, man. The way the guys are flying.
Yeah, but I mean,
I must say, guys, and girls, by the way. Oh, yeah. We'll get into that later.
Yeah. But I wonder. I think it's worse. I'm sure it's worse for the pilots.
Yeah.
It's okay. Cool that you can fly both, but worse in terms of your stability on your roster.
You can get fucked around a lot more.
Because
it's not like,
hey,
sorry, the A350 is broken down. Okay, well, the A380 will take it. Cool, I've got a couple of days off. But you fly.
So let's throw the question: is roster stability affected by flying two types? And is roster stability the most important thing to you, or is it that you get to fly around and arguably two of the coolest planes bombing around the sky? I suppose.
Yeah. What's the verdict? 350.
Yeah.
What would it be for you?
What heavy metal? Yeah. I just always liked the 777. My dad got in when the 777 first came into service. My old man he was on an overseas trip and he came back. Remember back in the day, you got DVD sets.
Yeah. Well.
There was nothing on, no internet, and he brought a DVD set back of the building and certification of the 777.
Yeah.
And it was so cool, right from the original drawings up to the test flights and then into service. And then we went on a holiday sometime back at first when it had come out, and we jumped on a United 777. And I've always loved the trip. To me, it just looks like it's old fashioned enough that it still looks tough.
Yeah.
It looks really hard. There's a DC-8 parked here with the new engines, the higher bypass fans here at Denell. And that aircraft just looks so strong. It just really looks like a beast. And the 777 to me is the same. So, if I had to, for me, it's a 777, eh?
Mm.
And for you, I mean, obviously a 747, but
no, it goes without saying. If I were given a chance or an option or a choice or whatever the case may be, it would definitely be, for me, the 74. Would love to have had my grubby paws on that. But then, I don't know, I kind of like the quads, bombing around in 380. More engines are better.
Yeah, no, true.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I like the big bus and I can't not lie.
But ask Andrew Evans has flown them all.
No, he's going to be I bet you he's going to say Boeing all the way.
Yeah. He looks like a Boeing guy. He'll probably choose his RV, but anyway. It was, United Airlines. How's this one? I saw this. This was blowing up on Twitter over the weekend. United Airlines was unable to turn off the no smoking signs on its A321neo aircraft, despite smoking being prohibited on flights for over 30 years. The aircraft require unique an exemption from a regulation in order to operate with the indicator always on. And it appears that the United does not currently have that exemption on file with the FAA. And so what they had to do is they had to take all the 321s off flights and replace them with 73s and all sorts of other things over the weekend. It was chaos. All because of the
no smoking
signs, and no one has smoked on an airplane for 30 years.
It's crazy,
Yeah, that's nuts. You mentioned this one, your story, but it was a terrible week for business jet pranks.
Insane. Business jets, particularly in the States, they've been falling out of the sky like it's going out of fashion.
The Challenger.
Yeah, the Challenger crashed on the I-75 highway.
I hate one thing I can't watch. I can't watch aircraft accidents. I just can't do it.
I hate it.
I hate it. So
even those
I don't
air
even
crash
watch
investigation videos. I tried to almost never watch them because it was just
they're so fake in some ways.
they're bullshit. Okay. But watching these actual, and there's more and more of them because now everybody's got a dash cam and a phone and everything, and you capture this. It was just horrific.
No, it wasn't cool.
But yeah, the Challenger. Then there was a Hawker 900 that crashed near Loma in Colorado. And then there was, I think it wasn't as bad, but there was a citation or something. Just
threes.
Crazy.
Accidents always in threes. Yeah, it's a terrible there. But anyway, hopefully that's the end of them for a while. Some pilot productivity. Have you got anything that you want to speak about? I asked the Oaks about the podcast side of things.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to listen to podcasts in the aircraft. So it's still like a bit of a no-no. The reason I asked the question was because so many guys say to me, hey, I download it before we go and fly. So I think it's a bit hush-hush. But I was wondering, is there a bit more leniency towards that these days? There isn't.
Yeah.
So no, the Oaks aren't listening in the aircraft.
In terms of pilot productivity, I suppose probably not so much of an advisory, but more of a question to what the guys are going, what everyone's doing out there now. When it comes up time for your renewal, how much time do you spend preparing for your annual IF renewal and getting all your documents and logbook summaries and everything done up state? The reason I ask is
funny you should say that. Yours truly and Parok on the weekend are doing our IF renewal.
Yeah.
And it's always like, I think the older you get, the less of it's not so much the preparing, it's more like preparing all the crap you need.
Yeah.
It's like making sure everything's in order.
Yeah.
But that's something I miss at the airlines. If you're with an airline, so much is taken care for you. Yeah. You just rock up and go and fly. But privately you've got to arrange, you get your DFE, you've got to organize, and it's always a bit of a rigmarole.
It takes a bit of planning and effort. Actually does, eh?
Yeah. Because we've got to, you and I have got to sit down and actually go over everything again, right? You're going to do this, I'm going to do that. You're going to say this, I'm going to say that.
Yeah. Like the good old days.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll be doing that pretty early on Sunday morning during the flipping Volkanovski Topuria fight.
So in
which
all
is really
that planning,
grating my naught there.
that was the most.
That was the dumbest move. So yeah,
Um,
that's if you're interested this weekend, UFC big fight. It's in Anaheim in the States, and it's gonna be cool. A really, really good fight. The new up and comer, a real youngster, Spanish dude, and then the Aussie who's not on strike, Volkanovski.
yeah,
It's gonna be big. It's gonna be big.
yeah. So before we even think of signing off, we have
Yeah,
a massive
apology.
Yeah, fess up to do.
Yeah.
Because it has been said on a couple of shows that we've only had, or we thought we only had one female listener.
Yeah, we cocked up there. So I said on the last show, to our one female listener, because the stats do sort of lie heavily towards a solid male audience, but after that comment, man, did I receive a lot of hate speech there. Shit, Bryan, I've been watching your show. I've been subscribed since the beginning. I mean, old Fran as well. Fran is a Patreon supporter. She watches every episode. You mentioned...
Dylan's wife, Charisse, sent me a message morning saying, hey, listen, don't forget, we're listening, because, I mean, it's actually nice to hear that they're listening to us.
Yeah.
Probably not so much for the aviation content, but more to just, like, catch up on good old South African lingo. And
I don't think anyone watches us for the aviation content, to be honest. I'm not so sure. Yeah. Although Fran did say that she doesn't enjoy going through the news, and it's nice to get a sneak. Someone commented the other day, then took the comment away. It was like every now and again there's a bit of a nasty comment that comes through.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, you guys really should do some more research on this and that. I was like, no, but I never said we were the most knowledgeable on any of these subjects.
Yeah.
What we do is pull the headline, have a look, have a read, got a bit of an understanding because we're both airline pilots, and then give some commentary on that thing. If you want expert stuff, this ain't the podcast for you, which is what I replied. But then he pulled his thing off.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So...
So anti-trolled very quickly.
That was the promotion for this. This isn't the podcast for you.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, Ryan. Yeah. Like I say, I mean, this week and every week the plan is to come in here to do a couple of shows. The thinking behind that as well, it's a little bit of a selfish thing. I feel podcasting is like one of those things, any skill set, the more you do it, the better you're going to get.
Of course.
There's no question. The more often you're in here and we're speaking, I think the better we will get, and we want to get better. That's the goal.
That's the idea.
That's the goal, to get better. So we're not shying away from our commitment to doing multiple shows in the week. That's definitely here to stay. We just, I think, like so many other people, run into these things every now and again where you've got the world's best intentions, and for whatever reason you just can't make it happen, and things in your life that probably there's a lot of things that have to take precedence over the podcast, the job that pays the bills, the family at home. It was Valentine's Day this week as well. So there's a lot of things that I suppose take precedence, and maybe the advisory this week sort of leaning more towards that. Not so much that we've got the answer to it, but maybe just a shout out to everyone to say, you know what, I think we're all going through the same thing. Whenever I chat to people, everyone's telling me how busy they are and how hectic things are, and it's sort of long for the old days where it was a bit more chilled. So I think everyone is, really fighting hard just to keep an even keel and keep some wings level there. And it's not easy. And even people that maybe you look at and, you say, oh, but, these guys are managing, and, I feel like a bit of a failure. I think we all dealing with a hell of a lot, and we're all in this together, actually.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and some people might make it look easier than it actually is. No, and it's actually a really good thing to. It's a good place to be in. Being busy, having that hustle that you got to do, the push, rather that than the way it was 3 years ago when everybody was running around looking for a fucking idea.
Yeah. I think the trick though, Ryan, is not so much the being busy. It's the, and this again a Jordan Peterson thing though, but working towards something that's of value to you. And if you don't know what that thing is, then it's very hard. But if you know you're working towards something, like what do you want to do? Where do you want to be in 5 years? And then, move towards that. That is the best advice I've ever got. Like,
it sometimes doesn't always feel like it's moving at the pace that you want it to
never
move
will.
It never will. And that's when like you feel a bit defeated by like all the things that are getting in the way. But as long as you are moving forward, I suppose what you're trying to say is
I mean, what's Tony Robbins say? We grossly overestimate what we can achieve in 1 year and greatly underestimate what we can achieve in 5.
Exactly.
So a bit of a 5-year plan is quite useful. And then it's not just about your professional life. It's about everything. And you got to write it down. That's the key thing. You've got to actually write it down. What do you want to achieve in your family life, your professional life, your whatever, social life with friends, whatever it is, write it all down. And then whenever you go and do something, ask yourself, am I moving in the right direction? I think that's pretty sage advice.
I reckon. Awesome.
Should we leave it there?
100%.
100. As always, if you enjoyed the show, give us a thumbs up. If you have a question, leave a comment below. And if you want to see more videos like this, and hit that subscribe button. Appreciate you all. Thanks for choosing Bryan Air as your aviation podcast of choice. Bye for now.
Ciao, ciao.